Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Bank After Show podcast, a podcast that doesn't take itself too seriously, aims to uplift voices of passionate educators in our kink community while creating a space to connect that is not an effing classroom. I am your host, or one of your hosts, Madam Posh, and with me are my co-hosts. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Leon. I'll be one of the co-hosts today. Next up, we have
Lady Bad Sushi. I am switchy and sadomasochistic, and you are listening to the Bank After Show podcast, hopefully on YouTube. You can listen to this podcast live every Sunday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Bank Collective YouTube channel. Come join us, participate in the chat, and ask questions or email your questions to bankcollectivepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll answer them on the show. You can listen to the replays of this podcast on YouTube, on Instagram, at Bank Collective Podcast, and on our website at www.thebankcollective.com, where you can check out any of our resource links mentioned in the podcast and check out the Bank Collective's future class lineup.
how is everyone doing today?
It's a good time.
Damn good.
We did just have a class at what time was it? 3:00, because that's when our classes are for the Bank Collective.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday, we're really trying to make sure that people know that. So, what did we think about the class?
Well, I did enjoy the class. I've always enjoyed their classes. This is the second time that I've seen them present. The previous was at the Q convention. And, you know, from what I've seen, the way they're able to break down and explain things isn't always occurring in rope spaces. Even if you don't always understand the vocabulary, the way that she breaks it down and explains it and visualizes it has always been top notch. That's my perspective from someone that's been learning rope now for a couple of years. And I've gone to several conventions, and I'm just pointing that out. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely felt similarly. I loved how Miss Reemah was going through and exaggerating the hand motions. It definitely felt like I was right there, and I was thinking, like, oh, what if I want to see it again? You were like, let me show you again, though. Let me show you again. And then I got it, and it was so nice.
Yeah, that has been our biggest thing, and because we're virtual, you can't come up and touch. So how can we break this down to the minute movement so that people can literally follow along? Yeah, we spent like a lot of time in converting in-person classes virtually because it's a big difference. Yeah.
I guess to follow up on that, was Q the first online one because it was not, or have you been doing that online previously?
And for our listeners, Q was the Kink Educational Weekend, which was a virtual rope convention for education, and it was held in July, and you should look forward to that next year. But yes, let's hear what Miss Friedman was going to say about it.
Was that our first virtual?
I think it was, yes. Q was
It
the first virtual.
Because we were so out of town on vacation.
I remember that was our first experience using Zoom, and we did
sure was.
technical difficulties.
Yeah. So that was our first time. But it was just like, let's make this more fun because it's virtual. And make it as engaging as possible.
Yeah, I remember one of the classes that you had done was about all body types, and I thought that was just a really unique class, and it was a really good watch. I was glad that I got to see it.
Yeah, that's probably like our most popular, because we're both and even all my friends around, our partners, they're like, skinny white people are not the only ones that can do this. And I'm like, that's why you need a class on that shit, bitch. I need a fucking class.
That's right. If it's not there, you make it. Oh, that's right.
Side note, we only get one F-bomb per podcast. Just gonna throw that out there.
Because of the YouTube TOS.
But moving forward, if it does,
We can move it to a few more because I can edit them out later.
Yeah.
But like,
we'll hit you with the beat.
I was gonna say explicative instead of like that, but explicative. And Johnny ran down the street. Explicative.
Well, you can drop it in, and we'll maybe we'll just do like a nice little sound effect or like put in a little beat.
But yeah.
But we only get one. No. But if it slips out, it is what it is. So we get it.
That's what makes the triangle bodies class unique. Just because we do literally different bodies. We'll have my body present, one of her male bottoms, they, another like a full figured bottom to show like, you
Yeah.
can't just place this hip harness across someone's booty
Anywhere.
cheek. And then go up and
Think it's gonna be okay. So, because people like Crystal, she'll be like, "No, bitch, you ain't never tying me again."
We're trying to get a repeat session here, like.
Like, come back. And she's like, "No, never again. Like for the rest of your life." You know, it's so sad.
Speaking
Yeah,
on
be nice to our bottom.
Speaking on classes, can we specifically about today's class? I know mentioned prior to us broadcasting that it was the first time teaching that specific class. Can you tell us about the process of creating curriculum specifically for this class? Because you mentioned it was from abundance of sources.
Teaching it virtual.
Okay.
So what we've been doing is I have like general curriculums, but they were all initially made for in person. So normally we sit down and figure out how we can explain and show this virtually because you don't have the ability. Because normally when I'm in person, I like to walk around, check your work, and correct what's being done. I don't have that opportunity doing when we're virtual. So it's like, how can we break this down? As simple and as much as possible so anybody, everybody that saw this would get it just based off watching it. So, and that's literally us sitting down, usually a couple of hours, and like she could be like looking at this one line, and she's like, "What's this mean?" And I'll tell her, you need to write that shit down because I don't even know what she's talking about. Yeah, and like break it down that much. Like I even tried to like people use a lot of terminology, and for me coming in, that's how I got lost. So I'm just like,
Same.
let's get the technical stuff part, get the connection, then like do it that way. I feel like when you use too much terminology, that stuff get lost.
it can be very easy. Oh, you don't know what this term means? How dare you not know what this means?
Yeah, because you don't know what this means, you don't deserve to know what it. Amazing, and I love the work that y'all do. And so, can you introduce yourself and give us just a quick bio of like what you would want people to know about y'all?
So I know this is audio, but she's pointing at me, being
Yeah,
like,
I'm
"You
like,
go
go
first." So yes, my name is Lavendar. Hi Lavendar on the kinky social media. I have been active in the kink community for 3 years now, and bottoming more so in rope for almost, yeah, it's like 2 years. And I kind of fell into it. Like I went to a munch with my best friend, and it's just been a never ending black hole from there. And yeah, I think what I get out of rope is just like the connectiveness between like your tying partner, that energy exchange, and the challenge that you get after each session. Like, and I'm also a member of the Rope Bite Atlanta board here. So
Very cool. I actually wasn't aware of that.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
cool.
I had to bring her on because I was just like, no, Boo got a whole lot to offer, and I need some help. So
Help
yeah,
me. Help me.
That is
huh?
I
lovely.
was just saying, like, help me. Help.
Yes, please, help, please,
Some
help,
assistance, please.
please. Um. So yeah, I miss Reemah. I've been doing this. I don't know. I 2017, I believe. Like officially going to munching classes and shit.
Mhm.
Ooh, I need to work on this cussing thing. I didn't realize it so much.
Well, technically, you can say shit as many times you need to. I know that one's okay. So I'm just going to
Okay.
put that into
They're
the
real selective.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really the F word. I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and so it's interesting. So I was actually dating someone and she was like, yeah, choke me, slap me. And I did. And I was like, this shit is great. So I went to therapy about it. I was like, is something wrong with me? And she's like, no, that's called kink BDSM. Go to this site, check this out. And I'm like, yes. And I immediately was like, bondage, like
She
whole
had the
soul
hookup.
redeemed. Yes. I was just like, bondage. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And just jump right in. Um, so yeah. Um, so I just like started using social media and trying to find like munch and workshops. Um, and started honestly when I first got in, I had difficulty getting into the rope community because we had like that gatekeeper thing going on, but also with me personal discomfort and walking through the door and not seeing anybody that looks like me, like not skin color wise, not even body size, not even seeing other women tying.
Yeah.
So I remember
Facts.
actually messaging a few people and asking who were like throughout the nation or even the world, like, is this something that happens? Like, can I actually do this? Um, and I don't even remember one of it wasn't Ultra Joy, it was somebody else. It was an actual it was a bigger bottom that I had messaged and she was like, fuck yeah, like come ooh.
That's all right. We're going to beat that out later.
Just
Don't worry.
just
Don't worry.
just be
Don't worry.
yourself, man.
Be
It's
yourself.
beautiful.
But she was like very encouraging and supportive and was like you're definitely needed and go ahead and get in and don't let anyone stop you. But it was still challenging and uncomfortable to be in a space where it didn't feel like I belonged and still pushing against people and like, hey, can you teach me this? And I've had people to be like, nah, I ain't got time, or nah, I'm not here for it. And it's like, okay, F you, not even dealing with you no more. Let me find somebody else until I actually came across my mentor and she's like, oh, you a beast. Like, come on, I'm gonna teach you everything I know. And it was like, that's all I needed. Come on. So we off. And then I got with BFD and like just learning how to take care of my bottom submissive in general was also a very important part. And it just took off. Like I have like kink family is super supportive and helpful and loving. So it's great.
That's great to hear, and actually leads transitions nice into our next question, which is um, so glad that you have a great support system around you. But were there some struggles being black, being a woman, being dark skinned, being queer that you've experienced in your journey in the community?
Still is.
Yeah.
Experiences right now. Um so I had like that personal internal dialogue of am I supposed to be here? Because there's literally no one else who even like has my who like even the same gender, like the way my body's built. I'm a little bit bigger, I'm taller, I'm dark skinned, like not even seeing anyone at all that looks like me walking up into a rope workshop or an intensive and being okay or trying to figure out like within myself on how to deal with that.
Now I walk into it and I'm just like, F all y'all, I belong here. Actually, you shouldn't even be here. Your ass need to go back to the beginning. Probably shouldn't be suspended no goddamn way.
Tell them.
Let them know.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of times I have to buck my own head up because I still get those challenges. Like I've been to quite a few dungeons outside of Georgia, and I was suspending a bigger bottom. He was a male. It's probably like 6'3" or 4", knocking on 300, solid military. And I'm tying, mind you, there was this other like skinny white person who was doing a self-suspension. Her ropes got all jammed up. It was shitty. And I'm just like, y'all ain't gonna go save her, cut her down.
Save her.
But here y'all are. Like the man walked to the mats, bent down to speak to the bottom and asked him if he was okay.
Wow.
In the middle of the tie. Mind you, his mistress is standing right there watching. And I looked and I was like, are you effing serious? And his mistress grabbed the guy by the shoulder, turned him around and was like, have you lost your effing mind? Like, that's my bottom and you're intervening in the scene. Like, do you not even have like basic etiquette? Yeah. And I've had that happen a few times. Wow. Like I've had people, do you know what you're doing?
Ooh.
Mother cuss word. Because one thing you do, you got me effed up. I had it happen at Self, my first year at Self. Wow. I wanted to do a suspension with a bigger person, and the DM came to me and was like, oh, we're about to close. Bitch, we got 40 minutes. What are you talking about? Well, you're not going to be able to complete a suspension with her in 40 minutes. So you might as well not even get started.
Wow.
I was like, Peaches, we about to do this running, man. We're going to do some transitions, and I'm going to have you down and out in 30. Then, oh my gosh, that was so impressive. I mean, I didn't think you could do it. Bitch, if you don't get out my motherfucking... look, I'm sorry.
Don't even, at this point, don't even bother.
Don't even worry.
Okay. Like
I have no problem editing it out.
Okay. But it was like that had me hot. So now it's to a point where when we go to public places, I need you to know we about to show out.
Yeah.
Because whatever, I don't know if people just doubt that our ability or whatever, it's like you will never again. And I want you to come to me and say that shit to my face so I can check you. But we showing out wherever we go. I agree. And I'm trying up at that dungeon too, because I was like, we ain't never coming back here.
I feel like sometimes there's even and I don't know, pressure is not the right word, but definitely when I get into a space and I see who's there, there's definitely inside I'm like, all right, we're about to do this scene and I need to throw some things in here to show that I can take up space in this area. Yeah. Right? Like, and so I think that's like incredibly truthful and like definitely experience I've had. And then also too, you know, in my local community, when we would tie, because of the way that we tie, because I would dance a little when we tied, because we'd be laughing a little bit when we tied. It was just something different that people hadn't seen, and they'd be like watching, you know, like what is this? Interesting, you know? But yeah, I remember you've told me that story before in some of our personal calls about the gentleman coming and interrupting your scene or asking about, and I've heard some other stories from other femme presenting and BIPOC folks in the community like that where they were teaching, and I'm just like, oh, I'm so glad that wasn't me, because I feel like they've handled it in a good way, and I'm like, oh, like I hear the story and I'm like, oh, my voice gets higher, the things I would do if that had happened to me. But then I'm also grateful for the people who, when they tell me those stories, because you were part of blazing a trail, like you took some of the beating to blaze the trail to make it easier for us, so we can tell these stories and be vocal about it so it doesn't happen again. So it's again, thank you for that. And those are stories that made me go, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, right. What? I'm sorry, what?
Now, that story makes me wonder, because now so going from that position when you're starting Thai, what made you want to start teaching and the difficulties involved with that? If you were getting that kind of pushback just from playing, what was it like when you first started getting into your teaching and wanting to teach in that and presenting? And at the end of that, what became your favorite aspect of teaching?
What are you about to say?
I thought maybe we can mention that story of that one explicative person like commenting on your weight, being like, I felt uncomfortable after a class.
What?
Oh,
I know this is not like the beginning of the teaching journey.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna tell the story. So I had taught. So we've been doing virtual all through COVID, and someone had made a comment about what did I have t-shirt and like some booty shorts or something,
Maybe.
or maybe like just a long t-shirt and some underwear. And someone was saying how I was like too big to have that on, and I internalized that because I was just like, oh my gosh, I offended them. And I talked to Sheikah about it, and then like we were talking, she was like, are you crazy? Like, we're already in kink. We do this shit half naked anyway. Like, are you kidding me? And I was just like, you're right. So we actually did a video that night because I was like, I need to go put on clothes. I don't want to record because I normally just tie in like a bra and shorts. And she's like, no, this is not what we're doing. I'm just like, okay, you're right. So it's like different aspects I have to get comfortable with. But I started teaching when I had started applying to conferences. No, actually, I had sat down with my sisters at BFD, and they asked me, they literally was like, as good as you are with rope, why aren't you teaching and making us more visible? And this is like my elders. And I was just like, I literally said, I'm not good enough. When I say I got cussed out, I got cussed out because they're like, you're being effing ridiculous. Like, where did you get that from? Why do you think like? And then I started talking about it, and Vicious Fan was like, actually, I don't give a F why you think it. It's not true. Apply to these conferences, like literally. And they was like, if you need, whether you need money to get there or if you need equipment, you need to let us know. But you need to be applying to these damn conferences because we will carry you on our shoulders so you can be more visible, but you need to be out here. And that's literally that. Probably 2 days later, I started applying to every conference I could think of.
That's amazing. We need more. We need to support each other more like that.
Yeah, because I literally was like, I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I have the skills to do it. And then so I had got the confidence, but even applying to some of the conferences, like I was still getting denied and getting shit like, yeah, we were pleasantly surprised about your application. Yeah, I mean, we noticed that you was really good and it seems like you're appropriate, but we're just gonna go with somebody else. And I'm just like, okay. So I'm gonna just start doing my own thing. And in even watching other people's classes, whether in person or virtual, I just feel like there's some like minute steps that people are just missing. So a lot of my curriculum is based off shit I feel like that I did not get coming in. And making sure that people don't have to have that same negative trial and error experience. It like simple stuff like making your finger the hook, nailed against the rope, turn it around, hook, pull down. Ain't nobody taught me that. But if someone did, I'm sure I would have been able to move a whole lot faster, or even cleaning up your lines. Like I have this thing about rope being aesthetically, it has to be aesthetically pleasing for me. So I like it really neat, clean, minimalistic. Ain't nobody showed me how to get there. So it's like making it up. But I'm like, if I can set it up in a way to prevent people to have the negative experience I have, or like the lack of education that I had, then let me do that.
It does show in your teaching. I will say
it makes you a better teacher because again, there's an aspect of, and look at it from not a rope thing. Think of someone who maybe went to business school, right? Compared to someone who has tried to launch in the same amount of time someone went to business school, has tried to launch 5 businesses, failed, and then is on the 6th one that's kind of succeeding, right? There are little things that you're going to learn business wise from doing the thing than and having to figure it out, right? Than someone who just went and studied a book, right? And I think sometimes it's similar there, where it's when you haven't had those like easy access to resources or education, you've had to be creative. You've deep dived into Google, onto pages that, you know, when you get to the 5th or 6th page of Google, like those are ghost pages. Nobody gets to the 5th or 6th page of Google, right?
Yeah.
And so you have figured out these other little things because you've had to learn in a different way. And I feel like I had a similar experience of really, like, you know, I volunteered at a lot of different places to be able to go to education. You know, I luckily had people around me that supported me financially sometimes to be able to go to things. But yeah, I definitely needed that to be able to get like, and definitely spent a lot of time doing individual research to find that out. But again, I think that makes us better educators, because one thing I say too, when it comes to, like, if I think about a convention weekend, what are the things months later that I'm still taking away, right? If I hadn't looked back at my notes, right? And it's the little things that oftentimes the teachers didn't necessarily put in their notes, right? They're just doing a thing, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, and when we do this thing, sometimes I do this little other thing, and it's really cool. And like, they just want to show it because it's fun. And like, that'll be the thing you remember, right? Because it like connects on this other kind of emotion and level. So yeah, I think all those experiences and struggles, you know, like, I mean, I've said this before on other platforms, but you know, the struggles that Black women have had to go through is one reason why we are good in some positions, and especially in leadership positions, because we've already troubleshooted, we've already struggled, we've already had to go through a lot of roadblocks to even get to that leadership position in the beginning. And because of that, we have inherent empathy, which is incredibly, I'm learning as I've been learning about being a good leader since I was playing sports as a little kid. But one of the things I've been learning lately is that, one of the things they don't talk about very high on the level, or on the like skills where you're talking about a good leader, is empathy. And it needs to be on the top 5 list of skills that you got to be able to have to be able to again be a leader or have a team that's following you. So yeah, I think that's really, like, just again, that.
And to follow up for both of y'all, what is your favorite aspect of teaching? Not the one that from the top and bottom perspective, because of course it takes two. Or more.
Boy. Oh boy, that's difficult. I think that my favorite aspect of teaching as a new baby educator, as I call myself, new baby educator,
Rookie of the year.
okay. I get a lot of enjoyment from sharing my experiences.
Yeah.
Similar to Reemah, like, what was some things that I didn't get or was glossed over that posed a challenge, like that was not just a barrier, but a potential, like, you know, hazard in the road for later on. And also seeing, although I know with like the pandemic, it makes this part a little bit difficult, but just like seeing like the words people type out when they're like, oh, thank you. Like, this was so helpful. Or like seeing that the facial expressions of an audience when we do performances. And then actually I do this thing where I like going up to people after being like, hey, how'd you think? Which, you know, kind of like getting them to like open up and ask questions. That's what I thoroughly enjoy. Like planting a seed within somebody to know that the things that they're curious about and wanting to do is okay.
Yeah.
And it should be encouraged.
Yeah.
Safely.
Yes.
First, but that's what I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like being like that little hand behind them, like, you got this. Go and do it. I'll be right here in case you get some questions, but I got you. Like, just go do the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. I think for me is when like literally just being more visible and letting other POCs know that we're here doing this, and that also means that you are able to do so too. And like just kind of normalizing kink within our communities. And that's something that is okay for like brown people to do, because you know the type of people we are, like we tend to be private. Like people like, nah, nigga, that's supposed to stay in the damn bedroom. No, it don't have to. I mean, it can, okay, but we can go to a whole event and do it in the middle of the flow, and that's fine too. But I also like what Lavendar was saying, when people are like, that was so helpful, that little thing really just made their life easier. I'm just like, yes, because I didn't have that little thing. So it's like, here, take all the little things I can think of, like even just using the full extension of your hand. So boom, you already at the end, opposed to pulling. Yep. Like that takes too much time. And it looks sloppy, like, and like you don't know what you're doing. Keep it fluid and smooth. Pull the entire extension of your hand. Little things like that. And they're like, I ain't never thought about that. I'm like, boom, I already thought about it. Here you go. Do it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. So so I mean pretty much the feedback, like actually just being helpful, becoming more visible. Because I am getting like more brown people, and I'm like, yes. That's like, it's so great seeing two film presenting, and they was like, and you a whole down like you a real ass rigger. Like I'm like, yes, I'm here, and you can too. So come on, what do you need to get you here? And that's my whole thing. Like even with classes, when people do message and like thank me, like, yeah, that's great. I'm like, okay, what's your rope journey look like? Because you can be up here too, like together, and we can move forward as a whole unit. So
yeah,
you know,
I mean,
fills me up.
It's like, it fills me up like no other, to be honest. When it is brown people and they're like, man, this made me feel like I can do this thing now. Or that has been incredibly rewarding. And it's the thing that, again, when you're waking up and you're getting the news and you're like, the outside world is falling apart with this thing, and then you get that little message of like, I found, I found this thing, you showed me the hook, and now I did the hook, and I'm like, yeah. And like one of the things I say a lot on Instagram, it's kind of a little campaign I'm having, is more compliments. And I want to see in the rope community, I want to see like aspects of like drag and like ballroom stuff where like someone does amazing transition, and instead of like quietly white people golf clapping, we're like, yes, give me that toe.
Like at the graduation.
Oh my gosh, look
like,
at that point.
Applause to the end. All the black families like, yeah,
yes. I want to be interactive. I want to see the crowd just falling out over a transition, over a freaking shake. Did you see that? Yes. I can't. I want to hear it. So one of the other questions we wanted to ask, because I think you guys get I think you guys probably get this a lot, and I've gotten this with some of my partners. But like, do you guys like have sex and stuff together, or like, do you do sexy stuff all the time, or like?
Okay, because this is audio. Allow me to describe what just happened. Miss Reemah held up her left hand and extended the middle finger in comment to that question.
I wanted to give you the full experience. I had to ask it like I feel you guys get asked.
Like it was a real question. Like,
yes. Like I don't know the answer.
Okay. So, and this is not to say kink can't be sexual, but in all of my dynamics, it is not sexual at all. We have separate sexual and romantic partners. However, that does no way negate the depth of intimacy that we have with each other. Because this is still, I mean, if you think about the type of shit we do, like we practice suspension bondage, like she literally relinquished all control and movement of her body to me. That is a level of intimacy and trust that you may not even get in no romantic relationship. Like for me, that is so satisfying, cup filling. I don't need nothing else. Like that is sex. Submission is sexy. But I don't and I do describe in like a type of arousal, but there's different levels of intimacy. There's different types of arousal, and all of it doesn't lead to sex.
Exactly.
Um,
And like just driving that home, it's like we both have
Yeah.
well, recently, like we both have like separate romantic partners, and it's like it's different. And as someone, for all of the new upcoming like kinksters, rope enthusiasts, like if like you have a romantic partner or not and you want to engage in this, that like don't let that stop you. Do
Yeah.
the damn thing. And there'll come a point where you'll find that partner that like this gives that whatever romantic feels or sexual vibes that you are wanting, and communicating that effect like, yeah, this is, because I've had to do that. Like I've had to be like, yes, this is Reemah, this is the person I tie with. It is very intimate, but I always put in parentheses and like text format like this, there's no non-sexual way. Kink can be fulfilling in a non-sexual way.
Yeah.
And if the person that you're trying to be romantically involved with, whatever, can't like accept that, screw them. Move
Middle
along.
finger, because you ain't for me. Because I did that before and tried to like suppress and like, okay, I'm not gonna do kink. No, F you. You're not the one for me. I need a partner that's gonna be okay with it, whether they participate in it with me or not. You don't have to. That's not a requirement.
No.
But when I start dating someone, you gotta be my family, and that includes vanilla family. I mean, I don't really feel like I have a vanilla family other than my Nigerian father. But like all of my sisters, when they come over, my submissive, you serve me, you serve my sisters too. And I wish you would not, okay? Well, it's gonna get effed up by them, okay? And also like when we do like introductions, like my current partner, like you have to meet all my play partners because I have designated time and I spend quite a bit of time with them and I love them dearly. Like very, very close to my heart. Like they are a part of my support system. Like when shit is going bad, or even if I'm not feeling well or going through a breakup, my support system, my entire family comes together. That's my close friends, my kink friends. And I'm only saying that separately so that you all know the differences, but we are all very close friends in general. And not, I almost said, and not having sex.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like people really need to kind of get on board with the idea that you can have serious platonic relationships or serious non-sexual relationships. I am starting to kind of come to terms with the fact that I believe that I might be on the asexual spectrum. And so when I explain kink to people, they get like a whole different idea in their head. And so I have to explain like, no, I have a kinky lifestyle, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to kink with you. Okay. Like it's totally different vibes. But there was another question that we were going to ask. It was, if there was one piece of advice you could tell a new rigger or bottom about rope for their journey, what would it be?
Oh, yeah. Notebooks, documentation, write it down. Write down what went good, what went bad, what's something that you're curious about and you want to explore further in rope. Or you can put asterisk, rope, impact, whips, whatever it may be. Documentation goes so far. It does so much good for not only yourself, but also the person that is tying you or that you're tying with. It does so much good.
Yeah. Because that helps a lot with generalized feedback and trying to see where you can make improvements. I think my biggest thing for me was like the internal self-talk and just encourage, like not getting defeated, not getting discouraged about it. Because the thing about starting off with rope, it takes a lot of repetitive and continuous practice. And when you're still learning those foundations, it's very easy to like forget. And then you're like, God damn it, and you have to go back, and that's fine though. And that's to be expected until you get it nailed down. So probably just, just keep pushing through. Keep pushing through, because you can do it. That was like my biggest thing. And yeah, I didn't have that type of encouragement until later, where they was like, yeah, you can do this. And it was like, I can do this.
You can do it.
Okay. Because it looks hard. It's like super intricate. I'm like, oh my God, it's daunting. And they're like, no, there's a entry level. Start the entry level, build yourself up, and you can get there.
Exactly. And
yeah,
for us, like in our teaching, we always encourage questions. We're like, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Ask it.
Yeah.
Ask it. Ask all the questions. Yeah.
I think those are two great pieces of advice, and I think they're also great pieces of advice because it wasn't like, learn this one harness. Knows how it's like, no, these are interpersonal skills. And you know what I'm saying? These are interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
This is having a support system. And at the end of the day, I think that's also part of the growth in your rope journey, is learning how to do those things better, because you have to be successful and communicating with your partners. Well, I know we had mentioned you guys staying around because you guys had some opinions about some of our hot topics. Were you guys going to stay around for hot topics?
Oh yeah, what was the hot topic with the TikTok?
Yeah. We're gonna
additional.
We're gonna take
some
for a few more.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break, and then we will be back with hot topics and lit ass kinksters of the week, as well as our lessons of the week. So don't leave us. We will be right back. Hello. This is Madam Posh in a gray t-shirt with an ad break for you. Madam Posh in a gray t-shirt. For an ad break. For an ad break. In this current world of the pandemic that we live in, I know that I've been attending a lot of online kink classes, and that people have been offering them all over the place. But I can't find them all because I don't follow all of the educators, or sometimes I miss them or don't see them on Instagram. Well, no need to worry if you're having a similar problem. Check out the Kink Hub on Instagram and on their website at the Kink Hub, which is literally helping connect you to your kinks by putting all of the Zoom education that is going on across the world onto one platform, which you can go and check on the daily. So if you're interested in having more kink experiences even during this crazy pandemic time, please check out the Kink Hub on Instagram and on the website at thekinkhub.com. Check out all the amazing events, education, burlesque shows, discussion panels. So much stuff is going on. Do not miss it. Every day of the week there's something going on. So if you are missing out on some kink extroverted time and connecting with other people, check out the Kink Hub. Thanks so much for watching. And so we are back, and we are going to get into hot topics.
Hot topics. Hot topics.
So our first hot topic of the week, we got a little video from an Instagrammer. She is a sex educator, and we are going to talk about the terms and services and crackdown on Instagram, as well as talk a little bit about what it means for the sex worker community, as well as the kink community, to change the terms and services of Instagram, and that Visa and MasterCard are no longer going to be accepting payments on adult sites. So let's go ahead and check out the video, and then we'll get back with our opinions.
Important breaking news for all spicy content creators. This includes kink talkers, doctors, and educators that talk about intimate health, people that like to post thirst traps, accountants, etc. If you've been watching my censorship content, you know that terms of service rules around sexuality come from Visa and MasterCard. And what they decide is based on U.S. obscenity laws. This morning, Visa and MasterCard severed their relationship with MindGeek. This is huge. They own The Hub. You know that site. We all know that site. Although the reason they did this is completely justified. It's going to have collateral damage for all of us. Most social media platforms were in the process of tightening their TOS, and now it's just going to get worse. Now is the time to be very conservative about the content you post. Watch your hashtag. Don't be too sexy. I know that's hard. And do not post controversial edge play content on Kink Talk, please. If you have old questionable content, you might want to put it on private until we can assess what's happening over the next few weeks. Not only are you at serious risk of losing your personal account, you can jeopardize all of us. Stay safe, my spicy friends. I wanted to give a bit more insight for the folks who are like, whoa, this came out of nowhere. Actually, it didn't. Spicy companies and mainstream platforms are constantly watching this stuff. And people in my industry are constantly watching this stuff. Credit card processors change the rules all the time. It's like a moving target. The website that we're talking about recently had the word punish abolished from their site because of what credit card processors said. And you've noticed over the last few weeks, even mainstream platforms, they are all changing their terms of service. It's because these undercurrents are constantly happening behind the scenes. Those in my industry were expecting something like this to happen for at least the last week. That's because a high-profile New York Times article came out about those bad things on the hub. And this is one of the reasons I'm so against edge play being taught here on TikTok. I mean, of course I care about people getting hurt, but it takes one person getting hurt, or one person misconstruing what they saw here and saying it led to them getting hurt. And something like what came down today on PH could come down here. So when we talk about safety, there's a much bigger picture. One more thought and then I'll stop because I got articles to write and things to do. Anyway, we don't know how far this is going to go. Pretty sure it was the New York Times article that mentioned other sites that were worse than the one that came down today. If you make your money online with that kind of stuff, start thinking about what's going on. Perhaps this will end up hitting all tube sites. Even though tube sites are the devil and have been the downfall of the adult industry, that's a whole different conversation. But as it is right now, there are some people that make their living that way. Could this also go to other clip sites or those sites for fans? If you make your living that way and those sites suddenly have no way to process payments, but I don't know, maybe Bitcoin, I'm not sure what they're going to do, that's a problem for you. And I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is like worst case scenario. But this is a really good reminder that if you have all your eggs in one basket and you're using one site, diversify your income. Maybe think about hosting your own site. Hopefully, probably none of this will go this far, but have it on your radar.
We're coming back. And we're back. So let's talk about what's going on with Instagram and the terms of services. I've been hearing some I don't want to call it fear mongering, but like a lot of really intense stuff about like everyone's accounts getting deleted, no more kink stuff, no more fetish stuff. How do you guys feel about what you guys have seen about it? And, you know, are you guys, like, are you preparing? I mean, I'm going to let people know about my other social medias, but, you know, kind of going back to what we were talking about in the interview, about, like, asexual kink. I don't post a lot of nude stuff. But I'm not sure how serious they're going to take this. How do you guys feel about it?
I mean, I'm pretty afraid. Like, I run the Kink Hub, and one of the things that I heard somebody saying was like, oh, well, now you can't use certain hashtags like hashtag sex work, hashtag sex positive.
Yeah.
And I had been posting several sex worker kind of discussion events, and like those would get taken down, or like the whole kink account could get taken down for that. And just anything having to do with sex. I remember that there was a an event that I posted like last week or something about anal fisting, and I was like, but does that count? That's not sex. but like is that gonna get the whole kink hub deleted? Oh no. And so like for me, it's just like, is it hashtags? Is it posts? Is it pictures? Is it descriptions? Is it like, what is it? Is it just things that involve sex? Like I have so many questions just because the wording has been so vague.
It is very vague.
Yeah, it's extremely vague. And I know it's like Liquid and Leather posted like breaking it down, and some other accounts, I think to my knowledge, it's like you can't solicit and post a sexy photo at the same time.
Yeah,
like having your link in bio is okay, but these types of like TOS, it's just like harmful, and it's not beneficial to anybody. Like you're denying people to be curious and engage in platforms. I don't know, not engage in platforms, but like in their own like sexuality and seeing more adult content. Because let's face the facts, nearly everybody views it.
Yeah.
So why, like, doing this is harmful. It's going to encourage more misinformation. I am looking at like certain things on TikTok, like non-safe, like kink TikToker people. I know some well-known rope educators in the community have gotten on TikTok now to prevent that misinformation. They're like, this is getting too much. No. Like, you're, by doing all this, you're just encouraging the continuous like misinformation, harmful behavior. People are gonna get hurt. And it's I have no idea. I remember seeing a meme of like Facebook owner like, oh, I made a platform to rate hot women. Oh, now the hot women got too hot. I gotta close shit down.
Yes, I saw that meme and I sent it to Posh and I was like, this is the truth. Like,
I mean, it really is, because like you also have to think like that's one reason what your platform is known for. Like that's, we've got hashtags, Instagram thirst traps. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and it doesn't. I think some people look at it and they're like, well, I'm not a sex worker. I'm not soliciting services. It's not going to affect me. That's based on their own perception of what you have on your page, right? That's not based on whether you're actually doing sex work or not. And just your thirst traps may get taken down. Or how about, again, going back to the education, all the educators on these platforms that teach education that's not taught in schools, right?
I mean,
like
that brings me to the sex therapists.
Yes.
Sex therapists and sex educators. Like, I follow somebody who's going to be one of the fuck kinksters of the week, but she is talking about STIs and she's talking about anatomy and she's talking about how sex, should be consensual and negotiations, and she talks about vanilla topics and kinky topics, and she really covers the spectrum and is giving so much really important information. But she would be taken down just because of how vague this is, even though she doesn't show any nudity, even though she doesn't show like any provocative pictures, even though she's, not really making money or soliciting anything on her account. It's just the fact that she's talking about what sex is. It's crazy to me.
And a lot of people talking about that they're, follow my Twitter or follow my other social medias. And I don't really have a Twitter. I mean, I guess I could make
hate
one,
Twitter.
but I don't really
Nobody
like
likes
it.
Twitter.
Like, I don't understand as a kink community, like, not that we really have a safe space. I mean, I just recently deplatformed from FetLife, right? So Instagram is again one of my more like main social medias to connect with people. But I don't want to go to Twitter ain't a safe place. Like, Twitter is already known as a vanilla person, as a toxic place of information, and again, also I feel like you can get lost in Twitter a lot easier than in Instagram.
It's definitely not age or accessible friendly, just because of the way it's formatted, where you can't really see full ideas. And if you're going to be posting something about kink or lifestyle and it's obviously very easily misconstrued, that's not the right platform. And so when people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to switch to Twitter, I'm like, it's not the move. It's not going to help anything. It's just going to make things more confusing and probably less acceptable because people aren't going to understand.
Yeah, I've made it. I'll confess, I have made a Twitter, and I've posted some things. It's, the user friendliness is different and how to engage, because my tweet, I've privated my Twitter, so it's like you have to know who I am and my handle to follow me, unlike IG, which is public. It's two different platforms, and it's well, I'm good with technology. I'm still taking and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think for a lot of what a lot of people are trying to do on Instagram, again, is limited by the Twitter user interface and not being able to post really long text messages unless you're putting it in like an image, as well as all the activists. Like, I don't know, a lot of people probably don't know that during the recent election season, a lot of hashtags dark-skinned women, black women, were shadow banned because they were considered, politically, they said there could be political misinformation in these posts. And it had a little, thing that you could, find out more from Instagram on it. I found out, one day, all these things hinder us from being able to get messages out and make change, right? All these things are kind of adding up across different industries to harper down change. If we don't think that isn't a consequence, or not a consequence, but a reaction to what's been going on the last 6 or 7 months, as well as the amount of people that have gotten into adult work because they've lost their job in other places because of COVID. It's just, again, I think not only is it, not an ethical, moral, right decision, but it's also a good business decision. What do you think a good 30-40% of your platform is? What do you think people are doing on
It's full of doggy photos and fashion fits
and
yoga
and yoga and astrology. That's it, Posh. That's it.
Okay. Oh, my bad. What was I thinking?
Yeah, there's no butt pictures. There's no implicit or explicit nudity.
Well, I'm on the wrong part of Instagram then. Feed. Wait, what is this sunshiny, dogs and flowers Instagram? I'll be scrolling down and it'll be lovely, real picture, and then maybe just a pretty fetish model picture, and then it'll be a close-up shot of 80 needles in someone's face.
Yeah.
And then just booty twerking with a butt plug hanging out. That's my feed. I like it that way. Why are we? But that's also a choice, right? That's who I follow.
Yes.
I can create that feed. I think stuff, again, just even when people try to comment stuff on Twitter and I'll get a notification someone commented and I'm but I don't know what they commented on. Where's the original post? And I don't know which blue linked button. It's just not. I don't want it. I don't want to tweet. I don't want to Twitter.
It's for someone who just I imagine Twitter is someone that sits in a room and just shouts something the first thing that comes to their mind, and then it's just silence after.
And then just let's see how this affects people.
That's how I imagine Twitter, and it's why I've never been on there, because every time I've been there, that's what it's felt like. I've been tweet. Oh, yeah, that was
silence. Just into the void.
But I want engagement. I want collaboration. I want to work with people. I want to make something. I want to create something. I want to show people things that they haven't seen before. But Twitter is your 240 characters now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making a difference.
Well,
hey, but we got fleets. They got fleets. It's okay. You can put it in your story.
Well, another thing that kind of came up under this topic was that in the last day or so, Visa and MasterCard are no longer going to be working with Pornhub. And I'm going to quote an article from the Washington Post now. The payment processor and its rival Visa, MasterCard and Visa, launched investigations this week after the New York Times report by columnist Nicholas Kristof alleged that Pornhub is infested with rape videos and monetizing child rapes. Kristof wrote that he came across recordings of assaults on unconscious women and girls and on the site, and in a statement to the Times, Pornhub said, any assertion suggesting it allows child videos on its site is irresponsible and flagrantly untrue. Major credit card companies have been under pressure to block payments to adult websites that cannot ensure the legality of their hosted content, which I know was a thing with Pornhub, is that there were more processes that they could have put in sooner to verify identity on their sites, and that has riled up a lot of the activists on the other side. Earlier this year, women and children's rights groups urged payment processors to bar transactions with porn sites. The advocates contend that financial institutions play a supportive role in facilitating the spread of abusive and illegal pornography. Visa has not yet completed this investigation, but has suspended the use of its cards on the website in the meantime. We are instructing the financial institutions who serve MindGeek to suspend processing of payments through the Visa network, Visa said in a statement to the Post. At Visa, we are vigilant in our efforts to stamp out illegal activity on our network, and we encourage our financial institution partners to regularly review their merchants' compliance of our standards. American Express prohibits its cards from being used on digital adult content websites, according to the Associated Press, and PayPal stopped processing payments to Pornhub last year. So, how do you buy shit on Pornhub now? Can't use Visa, can't use MasterCard, you were never allowed to use Amex,
Wow.
and PayPal doesn't accept payments anymore either.
I mean, I'm good with the free content, but I get their struggle.
Damn, so what do you do?
I know there's also a lot of, adult content creators that use that site as a way to advertise for their stuff and to sell stuff. So, and it's one of the biggest sites. So if it takes that move, if Visa takes that move with that site, it's going to take it with others. My question is, what are we doing as a society? Did we all of a sudden decide we don't like sex anymore? Like, have people been like, have they masturbated away like all the masturbation they can do in quarantine, and now they're like destroy the porn companies? Like, I just don't understand why this pressure is coming from so many different industries, from so many different sides right now.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm like, are femme presenting women becoming too much in control of their own sexuality and what they want to do, or is like non-binary like humans like being like, fuck this, fuck that. Oh shit, I now I did it. Dang.
You know what?
Now I did it.
How do we talk about these topics without a few F-bombs? Like, we need it to
it makes us mad.
Yeah, exactly.
Or yeah, people like non-binary, femme presenting, like cisgender, like men, women, like just being like, I'm in control of my own sexuality. This is what I like. I'm gonna put out this type of content. Whatever. Screw the porn industry and their very narrow-minded thinking of what is sex and what is appealing when having sex.
Mm-hmm.
It all.
I mean, I agree, but I also think there's got to be a disconnect, because there's a high percentage of people who are involved in these things that are going home and watching the porn of their deep, darkest, kinky fantasies, and then getting up the next morning and going to work into the office and being like, we need to ban them being able to advertise from them, even though I found my dominatrix on Twitter or Instagram. Like, that's where I'm like, what? How do we fix that disconnect of? And this is one of the things I think it is that a lot of those people are high enough in the upper echelon of society that they're still going to have access to these things, whether they ban them for us or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's them also believing that they have the moral high ground because they just think that they're better because they can either control themselves, and they assume that other people can't. And it's just like, it's not even about that. It's just like, we should be able to enjoy these things, and you shouldn't be shaming people, and you shouldn't be taking away people's income, and you shouldn't be making it harder for people to produce things that they enjoy and that they isn't hurting anybody. And I understand that a lot of these rules are like starting to come out because they are concerned about how Pornhub is somehow allowing like sex abuse to happen and exploitation and things like that. But I mean, like, we read an article about it, and it was basically saying that the problem is being like exacerbated. Like, they're making it seem way bigger than, what they're trying to do, or what Pornhub is trying to do. They're inflating it. That's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
And so it's like they're inflating it so much that they are completely missing the benefits and the stability and the importance that people do need these platforms and do need these to be able to advertise their services and make an income. And I mean, even if it's not even about making an income, people should be able to make things that isn't hurting anybody else.
Well, and let's think about it too. We're just trying to catch up to other first world countries. Like that with this, like other first world countries have this legal, have legal ways to do this where people can register. And if you really are trying to get rid of sex trafficking problems, the solution has statistically been found. You make these things legal, like with drugs, or decriminalize them, right? Same with drugs. You like want to go see in countries and different areas around the world where drug problems have gone down. It's when they decriminalized it and let people go to addiction therapy, right? And it is same with
abstinence education.
Yes.
You're like, never have sex, never learn how to have sex, never learn how to use a condom. And then they're like, oh no, our pregnancy rates are so much higher now. What do we do? Enforce more abstinence education. Like, what?
It is
learn. Read the research.
It's the Christian right and a historical fact of them ignoring how to the root of the problem and going after all of these other aspects of the problem, which prove that you really actually don't want to fix the problem, right? If you really want to have less kids in sex trafficking, the solution, by the facts and statistics, is to decriminalize sex work and to allow these companies to be able to, these credit card companies, to process these payments and let people do this without, like, that's how you solve the problem. Study after study proves it. So, like, do you really care? No, you don't. It's about this image thing of, even though the people, I mean, the guy that they were talking about, Christoph, he was like the biggest advocate, Nicholas Christoph, for kind of, this crackdown. Let's check your internet history, Mr. Christoph. Like, I mean, another story we were going to talk about today was it's a Hungarian politician who has been anti-LGBTQ IA for, decades, and just recently got caught not only breaking COVID violations, but at a gay orgy.
Yep.
Oh.
Like, not just an orgy, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got triple whammy there. Like, you're breaking COVID rules. You're at an orgy, and it's a gay orgy after you've been advocating against LGBTQI stuff for decades. That's what I see in this stuff, is just the hypocrisy of, like, as the masses, we cannot be fooled by our leadership's hypocrisy and act like these men that we're seeing, all these white men that are politicians that run a lot of our shit, like, they ain't whacking it to this stuff too.
I mean, it goes from, like, a history standpoint as well. Do they forget that sex work and prostitution is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, form of professions?
There's a reason.
If the difference is that it was controlled by men, is that the biggest difference? That is now from then to now, is they're not in control, so now they're having issues with it? So
no, there's a lot of times in society where even men didn't necessarily have complete control over the sex work industry. I mean, one of the posts I recently made on my page was encouraging people to do some of the historical research about sex workers. And I said, start with the Wild West. Start by figuring out who actually started those towns. Because you know what is the first need after food for a bunch of men not around their women or wives? It's sex.
Yep.
You know who started these towns? Some of
the richest women in those towns were actually the women
were the
that
madams
owned brothels.
Of the brothels.
The madams. Yeah.
And the buildings that were there first would be like, again, food and a
corner
whorehouse.
store.
Like food and liquor and a whorehouse. And
then a place to sleep, so they'd have like a hotel kind of situation.
They'd be intense because they're mining gold, right? So like they're mining gold 20 miles away, coming back to sleep in a tent, and there's liquor and fucking prostitutes. And those are sex workers. They built a lot of those cities, right? Like, as they would gain money and notice that, like, oh, these men need this. Oh, we need this building. And cities people live in right now were started by sex workers. I'd like to give a random fact that goes, what? So that you'll go, I need to Google and do some more research on this. Because I'm willing to kind of say that, like, this country was built on the backs of Black people, but it was also built on a lot of people of color sex workers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And, I've said this a few times recently, but I'm going to say it again. I don't want to live in a world, knowing the world we live in now, I don't want to live in a society where more men are not getting to sexually express themselves privately and then I have to work with them. Like, do you want to, if your boss has a crazy psycho foot fetish and we take porn away, and then all of a sudden just your normal boss, a vanilla job, right? And then he's gone 3 years and hasn't ever gotten to release his fetish. How much do you want to work with him? You ever want to wear like shoes that show your toes at work? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would create a situation in society that is actually going to be more harmful.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna go ahead and let our guests go for the day. I want to give you a moment to kind of shout out anything that you guys are, if you're teaching any classes in the future. You can follow them on Instagram at LEO Reemah, REEMAH, and at Fantastic. Let's see. Oh, spelling. Why don't you spell it for me? Because I think there's 2 I's in it somewhere.
Yeah, it's FAWNTASTIIC and then underscore. That is mine.
Oh, here, I can put it up on the screen, actually.
Upcoming,
okay, I'm prepared.
I think our schedule now is wrapped up for 2020.
For 2020, yeah.
We're gonna be partaking in a partial suspension class together next Sunday, hosted by, oh dear. Oh yes, please. Yeah.
Yes.
We're doing
Let's
a partial suspension course next Sunday with them. So we're
shout out
super
to
excited for that. 2021 schedule
it's coming together
soon. It's on the way.
Well, we know for sure you guys will be at All Black Everything, which we are doing in June of next year, because we will be inviting you guys there. And I'm sure you guys will be, I'm 100% sure that we'll have you back to teach another class at Bank next year. So, don't have dates for those things yet, other than All Black Everything will be Juneteenth weekend. But you'll be seeing them back.
Yes.
Cannot wait.
Cool, bang.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you all so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Yes,
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we will catch you guys on the Instagrams, hopefully.
Right? We got the doomsday calendar.
It's the 20th.
The 20th. We're 7 days countdown.
7 days.
Kink Instagram Doom Day.
Like, I'm just like, should we just stop using hashtags in general so that shit's not popping up all over the place? It was just like, I don't want nobody looking at my shit.
I'm a little bit more creative with my hashtags, but I will admit that's probably coming from my inner inner person that is just trying to make everyone kinky. Like I'm like, let me put some vanilla hashtags in there, and maybe someone will come across this. Yeah, it's part of my conversion therapy process to convert the whole world.
No, I definitely do that. Like I found this hashtag learn something. Oh yeah.
Oh,
we're putting that one on the podcast.
That one.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn today.
You're gonna learn today. If you didn't know. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will talk to y'all soon.
Y'all too. Bye.
Bye. So we will go ahead and get into our next quick hot topic, which is going to be it's a little mix of a couple different stories. I'd heard a story a week or so ago about a naughty New Orleans swingers party that was a big orgy that got broken up again by COVID folks, and one day later they found out that all their COVID precautions did not work, and somebody definitely had COVID there, and a bunch of people got sick.
And it was not only just one, it was 41.
41. Yes. Well, and we'll leave we can't show the clip, copyright things, but we'll leave a clip in the description. Stephen Colbert did a little bit on it and definitely emphasized that's maybe an odd number, 41. Who invited the one? Or because we're a little bit maybe more woke than vanilla society, it was like, no, someone brought 3 or 5. Someone came in a polycule. So the other story again was the Hungarian member of the European Parliament, Joseph Szajger, which I'm absolutely saying that wrong. I'm sure it's Joseph. But I do want to read the story real quick. He was caught at a 25-man gay sex orgy violating COVID restrictions. The police arrived at the party, and Joseph was caught climbing out the first floor window trying to flee along the gutter.
Wow.
Yes. His party has disowned him, including the prime minister, and Joseph was let off with a verbal warning for breaking the COVID restrictions, which I don't necessarily agree with. I don't disagree with. But his public apology only addressed the fact that he regrets breaking COVID lockdown restrictions. And again, this was a member of parliament that has been very, very vocally active against LGBTQ rights.
Hella homophobic.
Very homophobic. I did not realize how homophobic they were in Hungary. But yeah, so
yeah, the Russian-Ukraine kind of area, all of that is very, very homophobic.
And it's the leadership is though.
Yes, it's the leadership. Let's be clear.
Yes, the leadership is.
Because there's always, people that live there that may be in the closet and they aren't able to express themselves. And so it's definitely being repressed by the leadership.
Yeah. They're very fearful to be out.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, in Russia, like, you can be arrested.
Yeah.
But I want to bring this up because, it's 2020. We're wrapping up 2020 all of us are, obviously, but like within the kink community, we've had this whole new kind of explosion of educating through a different medium. And conventions are starting to pop back up for 2021. And I kind of just wanted to talk about, we're all event producers. We produce events. We will not be doing any in-person events until possibly Q could be in person. Possibly. That's because it's in the fall of next year. But we are not taking those chances. One, I don't want to get in a situation of not being able to get money back on deposits for things. Two, I think there is a huge benefit to the Zoom education industry market that we've created within kink, which is less expenses for producers, easier access to big name educators without having to travel to an event that is
to fly them to the location.
Drive, that's a hotel. When we did our KSF fundraiser and we did some rope performances, some of the feedback I got was like, oh, I've never gotten to see stuff like this before. And then I had to really think, why is that? Oh, well, the reason we have seen some of these things is because we've been to conventions, which we were hundreds of dollars in to go for education, and like the performance was a bonus.
And because we live in a city where, those are going to be more accessible and more, easily found, like online and better promoted, versus people who live in a really rural area. They're not going to be able to get that same kind of access or even know that it exists, even if it were to happen there.
Yeah, there's a lot of events I found out, this in the last 6 months, that they were events. What do you think? What's going to happen? From what I've heard, the mass availability for the vaccine is not probably going to happen till June,
second
August.
Quarter.
Yeah. Third quarter.
But see, the thing is even with that, you have to know how vaccines work. Mm-hmm. Vaccines really only work when like 80%, 90% of the population ends up taking it. And with all of the people that are saying, oh, well, I don't really trust it. It's coming out too soon. I don't know what's in it. And, there's all of these different theories. My dad told me a bunch and I now don't know if I can talk to him anymore. And, but it's just like, how can you be planning these things out so far in the future if the efficacy is just not going to be there? Well, because
I don't want to have to give my people a Trump document of you have to sign this that you won't sue us if you get COVID. Like, you know what I'm saying? As an event producer, I don't want to, take the word of like, have you gotten a COVID vaccine, right? Like, when's the last time you were tested? We've been seeing this shit happen with celebrities and sports teams, and we don't have the kind of resources they do in those kind of things. So
that's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, I just question how we're going to be able to do that and stay within the philosophies and theories that we teach and preach in kink, which is, we teach being risk aware. And yes, I agree if those events happen, be aware of the risk and choose whether you're going to go. I can't, as an event producer, justify putting, 300 to 500 people in a building with circulating air less than months from getting a vaccine from a pandemic that's taken us out for a year. I just can't justify it. That's not in my risk profile.
Well, it's not only that, but there are people who don't understand the risks. And so it's not possible to be risk aware if you don't understand the risks.
Yeah.
And with so many people who don't agree on whether this pandemic even exists, or I don't have any pre-existing conditions, so I don't care if I even get it. Well, all of a sudden your risk awareness, which is false, like you're wrong, but like even your risk awareness is then impacting other people's risk awareness, and you are impacting how they would be able to take care of themselves or not. And so it just goes back to our foundations, which is like kink is a two-way street, and everyone needs to consent and everyone needs to be risk aware. But in this case, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Leon?
I mean, at the same time, as far as consent, I don't consent to someone's bad breath, much less someone's COVID breath. So from that standpoint, no, I didn't consent to you coughing, a couple feet away, or breathing all heavy, walking up the stairs, and me inhaling your COVID. That's not my story. That's not within my risk profile.
That's not my kink.
No.
Rank Rona breath. Interesting.
Well, just some things to think about. We had another hot topic. We're going to actually save that for the next podcast because we've gotten some good hot topics in this week, and we are going to go ahead and jump to our lit as F Kinksters of the week. Here we go. All right, Sushi, why don't you go ahead and start us out with your lit ass Kinkster of the week.
Fantastic. So, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the username correctly, but it's spelled Rukiat, and so I'm just gonna say Rukiat. And her, I just have really appreciated her Instagram. Like I did mention her before in this podcast where I talked about how she is a sex educator. She talks about STIs. She talks about focusing on destigmatizing and kind of understanding and evaluating society's expectation of sex and consent, and what people should be expecting from sex or any kind of relationship even. And I think she's based in England, actually. So you can actually, if you're interested, you can go check her out. She was on a BBC podcast recently. So she's a big deal. Like I really enjoy her work. And I think that she's doing a really a good amount of, like, a lot of good work is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So please go follow her and give her some love, because she is just out here. She's also BIPOC, and it's not very common to see BIPOC sex educators. And so I just really want to shout her out and let people know that she exists, that she's doing great stuff.
And I want to go ahead, and she has a pronunciation on her Instagram page, Rukia.
Rukia.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes. So we also put an image of her profile up in if you're watching this podcast, like on YouTube or Instagram. If you're listening, you just have to listen to the or if you're listening, actually, it should be a link in the description, whether you're listening on Spotify or wherever you're listening. Leon.
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and talk about your lit as F Kinkster of the week?
So mine is vagabond, and a lot of times their rope bottom is Sarah, aka Sari. Their IGs are Vagabond and Veagabond and shibari _SARI. So I've just gradually, they'll just be on my timeline, and I've noticed that I consistently appreciate seeing their photos on my timeline. Between almost the aesthetic of this connection being deeper than just the rope. It really comes through in the rope that I see on their profile. And you don't always see that. Sometimes it's kind of from a distance or this aesthetic of like mystery. But theirs, between the photos of them together, they do a lot of behind the scenes, kind of not just the end result, but the process of it. And it's very beautiful to kind of see those moments that kind of, it's not always that end. They're literally showing 9 photos from a set, and it shows their connection throughout the scene. So it's not just this very A and B. You see the beginning, you see the end, and you can definitely see the deep connection they have for each other. And I just think it's beautiful. So definitely follow them and appreciate and like them and comment and share.
Woo! It's lit.
Woo, that's awesome. It's lit.
It's lit. All right, and our last lit as F Kinkster of the week is the Pain Proof Priestess. I've been following her for the last few months. I think Sushi, you might have turned me on to her.
Yeah, I remember. I was like, hey, you gotta check this out.
Yeah, her photography is beautiful. It's black and white and just all the melanin. Can I say all the melanin? All the melanin. And some beautiful rope pictures. So I just want to shout out, go follow the Pain Proof Priestess. And also I believe that they live in France because their profile is all in French. And I love me some melanated French folks, okay? One of my other favorite femdoms, which we will shout out on another podcast, is also French.
And just so you know, I do know a little bit of French, and so her description is saying that she likes to work on the manifestation of rights for women and rights for their bodies.
Oui.
Wow, you did much better than I did. I got some of them on there. I did take French in high school, but yeah, I think you're pretty much right on. You guys, all of you guys are lit as F. Thank you so much for the work that you do and the content you put out. And we just want to make sure that people know what you are doing. We're going to get into our last segment of the podcast, which is kinky lessons for the week. Let's get into kinky lessons. Where's my segment? Here we go.
You're gonna learn today.
Again, my favorite life lesson. Don't be a see you next Tuesday. So Leon, what is your kink lesson for the week?
So mine will be clear understanding when you are going to play with someone that says they're a masochist. Okay, that does not mean you can just start beating them because they just have a high tolerance for pain. That is not what that
What? You mean every single person doesn't describe their pain exactly the same?
That is correct. It's extremely important to not come in with expectations in general, but you definitely need to clearly communicate as a rope or any top that just because someone identifies as something doesn't mean that all of them are the same. You cannot paint that brush across the board. And that, I feel, is definitely not touched on enough. Just because you enjoy pain doesn't mean you like being hit with a sledgehammer. Okay? That just means you enjoy those little light spankings or, that real soft flogger. It just means you enjoy it. It doesn't mean you want to be ran over by a car. That's just
exactly.
That's just my lesson.
I am laughing that was your pick of the week because my pick of the week was as a bottom, I need to more clearly communicate that I am a masochist. Because I think a couple weeks ago for the Thanksgiving break, I had a massage, and my back had been hurting for like a month or two. I was not even in a mood. I just came in, and he was like, "All right, so what do you like?" And I was like, "All right, I'm gonna be direct with you. I am a masochist, and what you are about to do needs to hurt me, okay?" And he did great. Like, he lifted my shoulder blade out of place, and he went in there, and I was sore for like 4 days, and I was like, that man did some work. I'm happy. But then I was going to get a massage yesterday, and I was like, oh, a different dude. I was like, I'm sure however I communicate, this will be fine. They seem to do really well. You fill out a form. It tells them that you want to have deep pressure. It tells them, what you're into, where you can be touched and all that. Also, by the way, I really liked that they had a consent form, like where you say, oh, where can you touch and not touch? I thought that was really cool. But basically he was like, okay, what do you need? And the only emphasis I gave was, I like deep touch. Like, that was it. I was not very explicit with like, I need pain, I need you to hurt me, you need to beat my knots into submission. I didn't say these things. And so I got into the massage, and he was treating my back like I was a baby, and I was just like, no,
This ain't it.
no. And then at one point he was even like, is this pressure okay? And I was like, you can go a lot harder. And in my head, I probably was saying it with such like, you please go harder.
Yes.
But how it came out, because I was relaxed and I was on the table and I didn't want to offend anybody, I probably just said, oh, you can go harder,
Very passively.
and that was my bad. I wasn't being a very effective communicator. And so like, I just found it so funny that like, for your lesson of the week, you're like, as a top, you can't paint a broad brush.
Yep.
And then I'm over here like, as a bottom, you gotta tell him to beat you.
Yeah.
If that's what you need.
I loved, because we were talking about this the other day, your massage, and I thought it was funny thinking about how you went in and said, I'm a masochist, and I'm like, that's probably a secret way for some unconsensual bottoms to get some to get some attention. And I was like, yeah, like, you're in the massage and they're like doing like fist on your butt, right?
Yeah.
Like just pounding fist on your butt, and then you're just like, oh yeah, that's good, can you go harder? Yeah, just go a little harder like that. Okay, can you open your palm up? Yeah, just like that, right on my butt. That's good. I feel like that's an unconsensual way to get someone to like dom
Suddenly
you,
have a
professionally
scene.
dom
Yeah.
you. I'm not giving you ideas. I'm saying don't do this. But
No, don't do that. It needs to be properly negotiated.
But that would be a funny bit. It'd be like on your massage thing, be like, just butt, open palm, massage.
High intensity, please.
Yeah.
Intensity with vigor.
With vigor. Once more with feeling. Oh, okay. Well,
What was your lesson?
Yeah, I think all of our lessons kind of roll in together, because mine for new dominance is patience. Is just learn the toys, communicate with your partner, and it's okay not to get everything right the first time. It's also okay to learn and grow, and it's okay to take that little energy inside that's like, but I want to do the things, but I want to hit the people with I want to do the thing. Just take a breath, because you want to hit people with the things for a long period of time for the rest of your life. So take those few moments to be like, oh, you know what? Let me learn this right. And also just imply that in many aspects of your life. In your scenes, take a moment, dominance, to pause. Not just in rope, even when you're doing impact, you're doing a CBT. Instead of constantly being like, oh, what's the next thing I'm gonna do? What's the next thing I'm gonna do? What's the next thing I'm gonna do? Stop and be like, oh wow, look at the way their left cheek twitches a little when I do that.
Look at the fear in their face before I.
Exactly. Oh, that's a face expression I've never seen before. That's amazing. But we have to consciously kind of take time to do that because it's very easy as a dominant to get kind of lost in the scene of like, oh, I hope they're not getting bored. Let's do something else next. So all of those things, communicate from the top and don't make assumptions. Communicate from the bottom what you want and don't make assumptions. And be patient. I think patience obviously is a virtue and can work on both sides too, because as bottom too, there's some things that, you know, you've got a new top, you're a heavy masochist, they've got to get comfortable beating you like that. So just be patient because it'll be worth the wait if it's someone that you really connect with.
Absolutely.
So that's the show for today, and I think it was a great show. We're gonna go ahead and do pluggables. A few things I was gonna plug. I've had a couple people reach out to me because we haven't given any new information about this. But All Black Everything Weekend, which is an event that we kind of created during the last 6 months, is happening next year. It is going to be virtual, and it will be Juneteenth weekend. One of the perks of being virtual is that we can guarantee it's going to be Juneteenth weekend because we don't have to have a building. As well as it's evolving into just an alternative lifestyle extravaganza put on. All the education, everything would be put on by my Black folks, but this is for everyone. And I cannot emphasize enough that if the attendance looks like all POC people, then we haven't gotten the message across, because the whole point of this is to change that narrative of only being able to learn from paler faces. And so we are going to have Vogue battles, we're gonna have
Aerialists,
games, pole dancers. We will have rope performances. We will have education. We have discussions, cosplayers. Like it's gonna be an entertainment and educational extravaganza. So I'm super excited about that. Just stay tuned to all the stuff we're doing, and you will hear more about that as well. If you like hearing me rant, and occasionally you're like, maybe I'd just like to hear Posh rant, then please check out my YouTube channel. I do a weekly live show. Just recently started on episode 3 this week. Every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on my YouTube channel, The MP Experience. I just talk about kind of the hot topics going on in the kink community, in the rope community, in the Black community. And it gives me a chance to get out all the things I want to talk about because I don't have enough time to do actual videos for every topic. Things just be coming up. The news is crazy. And then the last thing I wanted to kind of point out, and I'm sure Suchi was maybe going to mention this too, is that next Saturday we are doing a fundraiser. We're calling it Rigging for a Cause. Oh, here, let me do this very dramatically. I need to post to the mic. Madam Posh, 1 rigger. 1 hard point, 6 bottoms, 9 hours, all the rope, and a serious need for aftercare. So this Saturday, join us for it's being put on by our nonprofit, the Kinky Activist Support Fund. It will be from 3 p.m. to 12 p.m. All day rope streamathon to help raise money for a Black kinky family in our community. Their children have not had laptops all year, and so they have not been able to participate in their education as well as they should because they should be able to because they don't have the resources. And the parents need some holiday joy. They've been dealing with some medical issues, both parents, this last few months, and so we want to try to help them out a little bit. So please come join us. You can check it out. We will be promoting it over this next week. You will be able to check it out on the Kinky Activist Support Fund website, which is kinkyasf.com/live. Oh, .org. Oh my goodness, I am horrible. .org. Sorry, the kinkyasf.org/live. / Yes. Never mind. Sushi, you tell them where they can go watch the...
All right, so to go to the rope performances, the rope scenes of the Rigging for a Cause, you're going to go to www.kinkyasf.org/live.
There we go. As well, it'll be promoted on all of our sites, and if wherever you're watching it, I'm sure there is a link in the description. Leon, do you have anything to plug?
Not exactly, but furthermore, 3 p.m. to 12 a.m., just to clarify.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God.
said 3 to 12.
Oh no, you said
It's
PM.
it's
Oh,
in
yeah.
the afternoon
3
to
p.m.
the nights.
Yes.
It's gonna be lit.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
But I think that is a good time so that no matter where you are in the world, there should be a time in that time period that you can come in and check it out. And you don't have to watch the whole thing. You don't have to register for tickets. There's no Eventbrite. You literally just go to the link and watch the things. And then...
And if you are international, it's Central Standard Time.
Central Standard
we're
Time.
really trying to sell this to you to make sure that you go and hopefully donate. The suggested donation is $5.
$5 is the suggested donation if you have it to share. And also, if you have your road partners that night, like, come tie along. Like, we're gonna have some bomb ass playlists, and we are not doing choreographed performances. We are doing genuine connective rope scenes. But we'll still be very, very fun. And I'm resting up all week so I can make it through. That's really what the donations are for. The more you donate, the more power that I get. You can't see me, but I'm doing powerful movements right now with my arms. The more money you donate, the more power I have to tie my rope bottoms.
take it away, Sushi.
All right. So if you haven't already, make sure that you like the Bank Collective on Facebook and you go follow them on Instagram. So it is bank_collective. If you are looking or reading. No, this is a listening experience. If you are listening to us on YouTube, please make sure that you follow Bank Collective Podcast on Instagram. If you're looking for other kinky education, please make sure that you go to the Kink Hub. They have a Twitter, a Facebook page, a website, and an Instagram, but they are most active on Instagram. They go through and post 3 to 6 events every single day. That's how kinky the world is, and you are missing all of it. So make sure that you go follow.
And you can also follow all of your hosts. You can follow me on Instagram at Madam Posh. You can follow Lady Bad Sushi at Lady Bad Sushi. And you can follow Leon at leon.dallas on Instagram. So this has been the Bank Podcast After Show with Madam Posh and
Leon.
And
Lady Bad Sushi.
And thank you everyone for listening. We will get tied up with you next week.
Oh, yes.
Love it. Still gonna do it, even though it's corny. Every week, it's happening.
It's a thing now.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.